Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and we have two special guests with us today. So go ahead and introduce yourself, guys. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you. My name is Ralph Roland.
Gail Roland.
We run the Roland Senior Dog Rescue Gang in Melrose, Florida.
So tell us a little bit about you guys, who you are, and then we'll kind of get into the rescue.
Okay. Well, I'm retired from the Navy after 20 years, and I'm also have a background. I worked at a local animal control as adoption rescue coordinator, and then rolled into the rescue side myself. So, and you?
I was in the Navy for 10 years, and then I worked for the post office for almost 10 years. I got attacked by pit bulls.
Oh, wow.
Had to retire because they tried to kill me, and it blew my mind. And so I was on disability retirement for a while, and then I retired. And so that's our background.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for your service. I know you guys have big hearts, especially with what you do. So the Roland Senior Rescue or Roland Senior Dog Rescue Gang,
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the rescue.
It's we're like a sanctuary based rescue. Like I say, we're located in Melrose, Florida. We take in senior dogs from local shelters that have been dropped off there. We also take in seniors from individuals who have a senior dog and they can no longer care for it, such as being put into a assisted living home, or a parent that passed away, and then the children end up taking the dog, and then they don't, they no longer want the dog after mom's gone or whatever. That's kind of how we say it. And so they reach out to try to find a home for the dog. And we try to get those sometimes before they get sent to the shelter, because that's the ultimate place that they're going to end up if they can't find a place. And so then our sanctuary is run out of our home. We have dogs in our home, and we also have it's one of those portable office construction trailers that they use for job sites that was donated, and we rehabbed it. Has central heat and air, new tile floors, and everything. And we have right now I have 8 larger dogs out there, and they have a quarter of an acre that's fenced in so they can run and play. But they're mostly older. They like to just lay around. They have couches to sleep on inside and chairs, and they just kind of do whatever they want to do out there. And they have a nice covered deck, and that runs the whole length of the trailer, so they have plenty of room to just do it, just chill. And so we
Every once in a while a puppy slips in, and we have to
we've
try to
actually
find
taken in
it.
a puppy,
They're a
but
little rowdy for us, but
that's not our goal.
we got a 1-year-old Blue Point Pit right now.
So
we're trying to find a home.
We do have a few dogs in a program that we call our senior to senior foster program,
senior to senior,
where we have people that are we kind of set it at 60 years old or above, but we, that's not written in stone. And basically it's to find a senior adult. They're looking for a companion, but they're kind of scared to adopt or taking a dog because it could be a financial issue, or they're worried that they're going to pass away, or what's going to happen to the dog, or what if I can no longer handle the dog due to health reasons or whatever. They don't know what to do. Well, in those cases, with our senior to senior program, we take care of all the bills for them as far as vets goes.
That's awesome.
If the dog has to go to the vet for any reason, if it needs special food, medication, whatever, we'll pay for that. Even if they need just regular food, I'll set up a Chewy account or whatever I need to do so that they can have the proper food. And they also have what a lot of people don't have. They have I guess you call it an out. If they decide they can no longer handle the dog, or like I said, for any other reason, then they can always, we can always go to them and bring the dog back to us, so that they know the dog's not going to be abandoned, or they don't have to. That just takes some worries off of the people. And it also helps the seniors, because we've got senior dogs that are, they just need a home to go lay in someone's lap.
Right.
And right now we have 29 dogs. We've had as many as 55.
Oh, wow.
We're at 29 now. We're
just the two of us.
Yeah, we're kind, and that's
and one volunteer.
Yeah, that's why we're not slowing down. We're just kind of limiting our numbers.
Yeah.
So that we can give better quality care and more time. But those dogs, even with as much attention as we give them, because they're all around us, they need to get away from the large amount of dogs that are here, and be able to be in someone's home and be pampered. One or two dogs, and they get all the attention. That's what they need. Or if they just want to lay on their lap or lay on the couch, whatever. We just took two, what are they called?
Schnoodles,
Schnauzer poodle mixes that we got from Tampa about 6 months ago, and they were in really bad shape. Lady was in the hospital, and I guess her son was caring for him, and she had babied him all her life, but he had basically just let him go. And they were pretty matted and everything. We took them in, got them cleaned up, got them neutered. They weren't neutered, and we just and we had them here for a little under 6 months. And one's blind, and they're kind of standoffish, and but they were sweet. And we just went to yesterday. We drove over to Palm Coast, and they were put them in a senior foster situation with a lady she just lost her husband 6 months, or actually in November. And she had two dogs, and she wanted to get two more, and she sent pictures last night. They're just fitting in perfect, because they're getting more attention, and they feel safer. And so that's basically what we do.
Cute little open house where it seemed like the dogs couldn't destroy anything or hurt anything. She's a nice little lady.
She's very into the dogs. And
we are so lucky when we place our dogs. The people that come to us to get dogs, and they're blind, they have problems, they're like dementia, whatever, and the people just seem to be the nicest people, and they really care for the dogs, and we have had such good adoptions. It's just amazing.
And we don't do adoption fees here. We
don't believe in it.
If you want to, we tell the people, if you'd like to make a donation, that's fine, but don't let that hinder your choice or your decision to take in the dog, because our goal has always been to place our seniors in the best home possible. And we vet everybody really well. Our volunteer, Michelle Kent, who is taken over as our adoption and foster coordinator. And she's very good at keeping in contact with people who are interested, and explaining all the situations and all the things that she
only has 4 dogs. See, she has more time than we do.
Actually, a couple of those dogs were from here, but she does such a great job and finds the perfect homes for these guys. And we vet them and make sure that everything's good, and then we always take the dog to the home, and that way we can see what the environment is.
We never do adoption events, because we don't believe in somebody coming up to you at the mall and taking the dog home. We don't believe in that, because
those are kind of like situations you get excited, go look at the dog, I want the dog, and then the next day you change your mind. It's kind of like you go buy that car you always wanted, and when you get home you go, I don't think that was a good idea.
Right, exactly.
So that way it's kind of a home check when we go there, but it's we have had a couple where we went there with the dog, and then we've had to say, no, this is not going to work, and we've had to leave, but only a couple. And so that we get to know the person, and see the environment that they live in, and you can tell right away whether it's a good situation or a bad situation. But like I say, we don't want the adoption fee to hinder someone taking in a senior dog. So but we always have the outreach, like the lady yesterday. It's really a foster, but she's like, well, I'll take care of everything. But we also make sure she knows if she runs into any situation, whether it be financially or whatever, to let us know, and we'll be more than glad to help her.
And when we adopt a dog out, we always say, no matter what, if 3 years down the road, if anything changes, we'll take it.
Yeah, we give them.
you know, we always say, don't take it to the shelter. Don't give it to somebody else.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't want
Take
some,
it back.
because there's been some adoptions with people I've known that they adopt a dog or they whatever, and then they decide they don't want the dog after a few months, and a rescue refuses to take it back.
Oh,
know?
really?
Well, they
That's
just don't
insane.
have room. A lot of rescues are
Yeah.
foster based, and so if they don't
Mhm.
have a foster available, they can't take the dog.
Yeah.
And so that's different with us. We always have room here to bring a
We'll
dog
just
back.
bring
so-
it in the kitchen.
'cause every room in our house is blocked off. I wish I could give you a tour. Every room in here is blocked off with. We must have.
The kitchen, dining room, living room, our bedroom.
We have
that's
10
all
baby
like
gates or
gates
fences
everywhere.
that block everything. So
There's dogs
we
everywhere.
have to go through
even.
just to go to the bathroom. I have to go through 3 gates. But that lets certain dogs stay in here. Certain dogs are in the living room. We block off
Uh-huh.
the dining room, so they go through the dining room, but they're not allowed to stay in there. And then we have a back section of our house, which is I have I don't know 13 back there, 12, and they can come up if they want to, but they're we call them kind of the not outcast, but they just like to be to themselves.
Mhm.
No, because like
so-
Flora, she attacks everybody.
Yeah, we have a blind, no-eyed Jack
She
Russell.
does. She still, her eyes are gone.
Yeah,
They-
Uh-huh.
they're
But
taken
she's
out,
not mean.
removed.
It's not mean in that point where she goes after everybody. That's her reaction if she gets bumped in,
Right.
is to start snapping.
Yeah.
She's gotten
She's
better.
gotten somebody's
Yeah.
tongue
Yeah.
once and somebody's head. And so
Yeah. A
we-
few vet bills, but she's calmed down quite a bit now that she knows her area. She's smart. If you watched her, you wouldn't think she was blind the way she walks around and knows where
Hmm.
everything's at. And
Mhm.
and people say, they'll say, can you take my dog? She attacks everybody. She won't go outside. She won't eat, or she eats everything. I mean, they give us this long list and they say,
Mhm.
you're not good with other dogs. And we're like, how
Yeah.
can we take your dog? Because
Yeah.
we have other dogs.
they have
This
to be
is-
good with other dogs. So
They have to be.
So that's
And
what
we-
I was going to ask. Are there situations where someone calls you and you can't take the dog? Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys run into that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Several times. It's like I say, all our dogs live communally. So
Mhm.
they don't have to get along with the other dogs, but we just don't want, there are dogs that are just aggressive to other dogs. And we've had the
Right.
situation with the big dogs, especially a couple of times. And
You have to protect the dogs you have.
yeah, you got to protect the herd, they say. But
Yeah.
there's been someone like we had a request a few days back, and it was a Jack Russell, and they said it doesn't get along with any dogs at all. It attacks everybody. It does this, it does that, and we basically said no. And we'll be polite, say we just can't take that dog.
Right.
And it's just too much. And we'll take dogs with, blind dogs. We'll take sick dogs. We'll take cancer dogs. We'll take dogs with dementia. We've dealt with that for so many years. We have no problem with that thing. We just got to protect the other dog. We don't want to put the other dogs at risk.
Right.
From a dog, and it's not the dog's fault. We know it's just however they are.
Mhm.
It's been a process, a learning process over the years, because we started this about 8 years ago or 9 years ago, and
No,
we were also about 8 or 9 years younger, when we did. And then
it takes a
we-
toll.
Yes, it does take.
We
a
were-
toll.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were going from 9 in the morning, and we got home last night at 7.
And
Oh,
we first
wow.
do is feed the dogs.
And then we had
We were exhausted.
The dogs were 2 hours late on their food, so they weren't too happy. They got their food, and we got all that done, and then we just crashed in the living room with some of the other dogs on us, and we actually went to bed at 9:30 last night. We're like, I'm exhausted. I'm still exhausted today. I'm just tired.
It's going to be a relaxing day
Well,
today.
Well, after we do
Yeah.
all-
Well, that relaxing day means sit down on the couch, all the dogs on top of you, and still trying to
after
do
you
everything.
clean and feed and
Yeah,
Right.
do the meds and all that, just
there is no off day.
nothing extra today, no projects today. So
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. Do
We
you
can't
guys
take
have
a vacation. We can't go anywhere.
I was
You know?
so I was going to ask that if you guys had anyone that ever came and filled in for you. I mean, that's tough running out of your house. So
Yeah,
is it
not
always
really.
just you guys
Just us,
and your
just
one
us. Yeah, our
volunteer?
Yeah,
She's volunteered to come and stay
she gave us
one
our-
night or something, or 2 nights,
couple
and
nights, yeah.
we're like, it's just hard to think. They don't realize
But how hard it is
how hard it
here,
is
'cause
and
it's-
what we do.
it's constant
It's
cleaning.
really
We've got some dogs that we have one dog that he can't control his bowels or
Or
anything
bladder.
or bladder.
Mhm.
Was hit by a car and his spine was severed at the tail.
Oh, wow.
When I got him, he could barely walk. Now he walks just fine. He's just a sweetest. He's a min pin. He's just the
Oh,
sweetest little
sweet
guy
as
in the
a baby.
world. but you just never know when he's going to go. And he could just be walking along and he'll go, and he still tries to go to the bathroom like a regular dog, but nothing ever comes out because it's always.
He
So
squats or
we did
left his
diapers
leg and
for
there's nothing comes out.
we did diapers for quite a while. We
We
called
tried
him,
the diapers at first, but it
Yeah.
just got to be bad for him and
we
bad
called
for
him
us.
Diaper
So
Dan. It's Diaper Dan is his
Diaper
nickname.
Dan, yeah.
But he was with diapers with dogs, even though we would change them 4 times a day, it's such a high chance of getting a urinary tract infection and stuff. And he continually got urinary tract infections. So we just decided let it hang out and we'll clean it up.
He's free range.
And he's free range, we call him. So
But-
he's always, you have to watch if he gets excited at dinner time, which he always does. That's when it happens. So
He barks and poop comes out.
so we keep right by him to clean up after him and all that. So
The downside is he'll go around and get in all the different beds.
Yeah,
and he makes.
we're constantly
just
cleaning beds because of him.
all the beds.
Yeah.
But he's a sweet guy. So we deal with all that stuff.
We're
all
thinking
day,
about putting him back in diapers so he can feel
just during the day.
part of the
maybe.
group
Yeah.
better.
We feel bad because we won't let him in the front part of the house.
Right.
But he'll come to the gate and go, "What? Everybody
Why
else
do
can't."
you come in here, yeah.
And we've got
So
some that
for-
can't pee. Like they can't make it outside.
Oh yeah.
So we have we go through pee pads by the gross. We extra large. We constantly are putting them down, picking them up, and
And I'm constantly changing my socks.
Yeah, I told her not to
Yeah.
work on the socks, but yeah, we clean and use pee pads like crazy for these guys, but that's just part of it.
So I know I had asked you guys previously what some of your biggest needs were, and you said dog beds and pee pads.
Dog beds and pee pads, yeah.
Do you guys have on your website like a Amazon wish list link or something?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It's right on our website at it's www.rolandrescuegang.com. And then there's a donation page, and on that donation page is a link to our Amazon wish list, which we keep updated. And we've got great followers. If I go out and say I need this, and I'll put our list on there, 2 days later, the porch has got boxes all over it because people really help out when there's something that's in need. We try to keep them. I order them. I think I order 8 cases about every week or so.
Oh wow.
10 days. It depends on how much we're using. So because we change them sometimes 3 times a day, and we probably use a half a box a day, sometimes more. It just depends on the day. And beds is because we have an outside washing machine that we use for the dogs only, and we hang them up on a line outside. And I'm like, when I'm done here, my big thing today is washing lots of beds. And some of the beds just get so stained to the point where we just have to throw them away.
We could use a new washing machine.
No, washing machine's doing good, but we
need to have 2 washing machines out there, and I have one in the house.
But it does good. I mean, we're able to keep the beds up, and there's enough that we can. I'm gonna be changing out a bunch of beds today. But
food is on our wish list, right? And treats.
Yeah, we have food and treats. We go through a lot of treats. We go through, we spoil the dogs rotten here. They get treats and chewies and whatever they need, whatever they want. They don't lack for anything around here.
Sometimes people comment on our Facebook page, your dogs are fat, and we're like, well, that's a good thing, right? I mean,
no, they're just, some of them are
let them be fat. Would they rather see them starve to death? We've taken in dogs that were starved to death, and by the time we got them, their organ failure was too far along, and we couldn't save them. We brought back a couple, and we've had a couple just die in our arms because they've been starved, and because maybe mama had Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that was.
And the kids would call and say, "Did you feed the dog?" And she said, "Yeah, I fed the dog."
Yeah.
We actually had one like that. The lady had, the children finally found out they weren't living close to mom, and they would call mom once a week and see how things were going. They didn't know her dementia had gotten that bad, or her Alzheimer's, and they would always say, "Hey, you taking care of the dog? Everything's fine." "Oh yeah, everything's fine." And then they came to visit, and this rack of bones is walking around because mom thought she fed the dog. Not her fault. It's just a mental issue. And so they would take the dog. We took one in that way, and we brought it back to health. Just small meals and good.
I think it was Blanche. Was it Blanche that never? She was so far gone.
Yeah, we had one Blanche.
We had a couple. 2 that were so far gone.
Yeah, once they get to a certain point, even though they seem like they're healthy, they're happy and they're eating.
We've gotten hairless dogs that we brought back, and they beautiful dogs like Trouble.
Yeah, trouble. I had an Irish Wolfhound that came in. That was
Irish Wolfhound.
senior Irish
Beautiful.
Wolfhound. He was missing probably 3/4 of his hair
Oh,
from
wow.
just from Demodex and flea issues and things like that. And the owner said basically they kept him outside, didn't really care, and he was thin, and we fattened him up, and just
This lady from Cuba.
yeah, they
This
adopted him.
tiny lady from Cuba, and her husband had cancer, and he was like really thin. They wanted him so bad. And we always do a trial.
Uh-huh.
They took him on vacation and had the best time with him.
So he's
He
the
weighed
best
more
dog.
than both of them.
He was probably 100.
together.
He was probably 170 pounds maybe, and we
But
were
they,
really
it was a
worried.
perfect match.
But they
even
knew
though we
dogs.
were scared
Yeah.
to leave him there because they looked frail to us. The people looked
Well, he was there for
Yeah.
a week. They were supposed to call us back to see how things were going. They never did, so we called
They went
them,
on vacation
and we
with
couldn't get a
them.
hold of them.
And they're
and-
camper.
And so we're like, I don't know what happened to that dog. We were worried, so we went by the house, and there was nobody there. And then about 3 weeks later, I get a call from the guy, and he says, "Just want to let you know we got back from our camping trip, and Trouble did great. He's the perfect camping dog." And we're like, "Oh, that's where you're at." So we were kind of
Yeah.
But most people stay in contact with us. They'll
Send
send pictures of the dog in
yeah.
their new homes, things like that. So
So how often do you think people are reaching out to I don't want to use the wrong term here, to surrender their dog? How often are y'all getting those phone calls?
I get between messages on Facebook, emails, and phone calls, I probably get 10 a day.
A day? Wow.
And and they're from all over the country, from people wanting us to help with dogs. And we have to set our limits, and we also have to set our priorities on where we want to help. And our first place that we try to help is our local shelters. And that's from my past experience of working there for 7 years.
That's basically where we
Right.
started out, was basically shelter dogs.
Yeah.
All shelter dogs.
We'll focus on those, and if there's someone locally that's in need, we'll try to help them. If we can help them, when we try to pass it on or get the information out to other places, and hopefully, but every rescue is full right now. They have been since COVID started.
Right.
It's just been that way, and we try to tell them, if we can't help them, we can't help you. If we had 50 more people here, and we have plenty of room. It's just that you can't have so many running around with not enough care. And
Right.
Yeah, we get a lot. We get a lot from all those shelters within 200-mile radius send me emails almost every day with wanted dogs. But we do take, if it's an emergency situation where someone we know or one of the animal controls calls, look, there's this really bad dog, blah 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 blah. Then we'll take that dog. If it's in bad shape, bad medically, or
Even if
whatever.
we can't.
Even if we don't have room, we'll take it, and we'll find room, and we'll take care of the dog.
Yeah.
So we won't say no to everybody, but just a general, I need a place for my senior dog. If unless there's an opening, and we'll have some openings coming up soon, because even on our website right now it says we're close to intake, and that's just out there publicly. But we will take ones we just took
Pomeranian.
We just took a little Maltese that they thought was she's in there somewhere.
She got a big old belly. So they thought either she was pregnant
said-
or she had some kind of disease.
that she had.
Oh,
She's just fat.
she's
We figured out as soon as we got her here, she wants to eat everything. I said, Gail's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with her belly. I
There's
think
nothing
she just
wrong
likes
with
to
the dog.
eat.
She's just fat.
She's
and
got a
fluffy.
belly.
She's fat and fluffy.
She's
Yeah.
hilarious. So her personality. We tell people it takes a while for their personalities to come out.
I said, so if aliens found us, they all say, "Oh, what's wrong with these people? They must have some kind of disease." No,
No, they're just
fat. Okay.
And she's really perked up and follows me around everywhere. But yeah, we found out you have to watch her food, and
Yeah, we
Don't
have to feed
let her
her
get-
separately.
don't let her get around other dogs' bowls, because when she finishes hers, she's going to go try to eat theirs.
Yeah.
She was probably fed. We think she was, whoever had her before, because she was abandoned and found on the road. And she was really mad and everything, but she's good now. We kind of figure whoever had her before probably fed her from the table and constantly gave her
That's
food.
why we can't leave, because nobody would know our feeding.
Yeah, our feeding
You
thing
gotta
is,
feed this one here. We put this
Yeah.
one here.
it's an
we get out
orchestration every night. Yeah.
next to these guys or in the same room.
Yeah, you have to know who's going to get what bowl and who gets, because some get medicine in their food, some don't. Some you got to put this dog way over here. Like I have one dog back there. His name is Snickers, and he's probably a rat terrier chihuahua mix kind of thing. And he's the sweetest little guy in the world. He's all gray and black. But if anybody's within 1 foot of his bowl, he just starts growling and he won't eat. He gets so mad. So I'll pick him up and move him. And I think he does it on purpose because it's fun. We'll
Yeah.
move him back over, but you have to separate them. And the little Jack Russell I told you about with no eyes, Flora, her thing is that she gets all excited at dinner time and she'll eat a little bit of her food, and then she goes on her hunt to go to every bowl and try to bully the person away from the bowl. So and some of them will stand their ground, but other ones will back off. And so I have to stand there for 15 minutes or so and watch them to make sure she's, not
It's a
scrounging.
fine dance that you have to practice and
Yeah,
learn.
we're good
You
at it
can't
now.
just go leave and say, okay, you come in and feed our dogs.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
We start
Right.
feeding, we're done in 30 minutes. We've got it down so fast now. It's like boom, 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 boom. We're talking to each other like because some dogs will go back and eat with me because I do the back section, and some dogs will stay in with her. It's never the same number. So she'll holler at me. She'll, you got Scarlet, you got Ricky, and you got Sonny. So I know to add an extra 3 bowls, or also, well, you've got this one, so we know.
And I'll have 2 extra bowls to be walking around, but he's already fed
I
them.
already got
2
them, so
extra
they're
bowls
good.
too, so the
you-
dogs
you-
play us. They play us.
Yeah. You guys clearly love what you do, and you're obviously doing a good job. You guys are definitely doing something that absolutely needs to be done. There's a need, and I don't think a lot of people see it or understand it. People, when I talk about senior dogs and my love for them, people are like, senior dogs don't get abandoned. I'm like, they do. They get surrendered all the time for so many reasons.
The reason we started this rescue, the main reason was I worked at the shelter and I was the adoption rescue coordinator. And I had been an ACO. I wanted to try something different. I worked on avionics for aircraft for all my life, and I built airplanes after I got out at Grumman in St. Augustine. And then I quit that job because of the distance, but I wanted to do something different. And I actually was hired for a job for the state working on electronics at Camp Blanding. Which was a really good job. And then at the same time, I'd applied for an ACO position at Clay, thinking something different. Well, they both, the same day I got notifications that they would hire me. So I'm thinking, what do I do? The other job I really am good at, and I know everything.
He could have made more money, and it was
money.
a better job,
And
but
I said, I want to do something different.
something drove him that way, and that was probably fate.
Yeah. So I worked as an ACO for a year, and I had enough of that. That's a very thankless job.
Yeah.
Very hard job. But then they started that position as a rescue coordinator, and they called me back and the director and want to know if I would apply for that job. And I did, and they hired me, and they'd never had one before. So it was basically starting from the ground up. And we had a very high euthanasia rate when I first got there. It was like 85 to 90% of the animals that came through the door were put to sleep.
Every day. A truckload of black bags went to the dump.
Because it was a rural, it's a
terrible.
rural kind of a rural county. It's gotten much better now, much better. I call those the draconian days, where the staff there didn't care. You get numb. Unfortunately, you get numb to it. But what I did notice was these senior dogs would come in, and mostly it was from family when someone had passed away, and they were dropping off these dogs who all they knew their whole life was sitting on someone's lap, being pampered, living a cushy life. And now they're dumped at the shelter, and they were immediately taken to the back building, which we call it the back building. It's where a lot of the runs were at. And these dogs would be put in a run in between, say, a couple of big dogs that were just nonstop barking, younger dogs.
Yeah.
And they would be terrified. You see them in the corner with their heads down, just terrified. And we actually had dogs that passed away their first night there out of just stress.
Oh, wow.
Heart attack or whatever. So I started seeing these dogs come in, and the first thing they would say was, you might as well go ahead and take it to the back and euthanize it, because the county was not going to spend $1 on that dog because they just couldn't afford. I'm not trying to badmouth the shelters, because they have a tough job, and they're the bottom of the rung in every place on budget. So you really have to manage your money really good. So anyway, long story short, I set up a large cage in my little office. I'd say, well, bring that dog into me. I don't want to go out back. And so then I would call her and say, Gail, we just got this min pin in, an old min pin. And she's sweet as she can be. And I tell her story, and Gail says, well, bring it home. So we would foster the dog legally, and then we would get the dogs vetted and fixed, and then we would adopt it. And then it just kept growing to, I think we had taken 5 or 6.
Yeah, we had.
By the time I left
little breed
there,
before
we had probably a group of 7 or 8 dogs already here. And we were doing the same thing basically. And then when I left, they kept calling me. Hey, there's a little Chihuahua, there's a little this, or there's a big this or whatever. And I'd go get the dog. And so after a while, we're like, we're starting to eat up our savings here on all this. So we decided to start our 501c3, and we went through the process and got all that taken care of, got registered with Florida. And that's how we kind of started. And it's grown a lot. And we've learned a lot from the beginning, and we have really good relationships with local vets that really help us out. It's just we've seen, I guess the best thing to say, we've seen the best side of people when they support us and help, and they go to all ends to help. And I've seen the worst side of people that just could care less about a dog and just want it gone and have no compassion for,
like the one who threw little Sadie in, a little puppy, min pin, and she just threw it into the shelter in the office.
Physically threw it into the lobby.
Just threw it.
And I was behind the counter. That's back where my desk was, and I
We still have her.
I flew out the door. And I was going to chase the person down, but I was more worried about the puppy. And I picked the puppy up, and she seemed to be okay. And I'm like, so I took her back in my office, and I actually adopted her. And she's 15 years old, and she's still here with us.
Oh wow,
she's kind of our dog.
That's great. Yeah.
So, yeah, you see the best and the worst of people. So
yeah. So we gave everyone your website, RolandRescueGang.com. So that's where people can donate, find your Amazon wish list, look at the dogs you have available. And then I know you're on Facebook and Instagram, and it's Roland Rescue Gang, right?
Yes, exactly.
And we've gotten 14 or 15 adoptions late in the last, 6 months? Yes.
Yeah, less than 6
Oh,
months.
that's awesome.
Isn't that wonderful?
We've gotten 2 dogs with no eyes adopted. We've gotten a blind dog adopted. We've gotten
we had 10 blind, and we're down.
Down to 2 now.
Down to 2.
We thought we were going to be a blind rescue there for a while because we had so many
the
blind
dogs that we think never get adopted.
We've actually got an old, people are
adopting these ones.
We've got a very old min pin who's been with us for a long time. Her name is Vera, and she's very skinny, but she's healthy.
She didn't used to be skinny.
Yeah, she's lost a lot of weight, and but she's like, you think, you're like, one day we're going to wake up and she's going to be gone, but she's still going. And she'll get in with the gang and start barking, although it's not this meekly little bark she's trying.
They were out by the fence a while ago when I took them out. She's out there with them.
She's right in the middle of it and needs help up the stairs. And she's actually going to a new home next week.
Yes.
Oh,
we had a lady that saw her and wants to take care of her in her final days. And so she's going to be going to a new home 16th, 17th, somewhere like that. Next week, whatever. I don't know what day it is. And so you just never know. You'll get people that'll send messages, say, hey, we saw such and such online, and we're like, I don't think you know about this dog. Let me tell you about this dog.
A
lot of our dogs are not on our website. We put as many as we can on there, but if I deem one, and I've changed my mind now, because some of the ones I said, no one's ever going to want this dog, I'm not even going to put it up for adoption. But people there's a lot of people out there,
and it's scary when you drive 2 hours to bring the dog. And then you're thinking, oh, are we going to just bring it home?
Yeah, we don't know.
But these people, I don't know.
They're just great people. They just want, all they want to do is help the dog. And
they love them as much as we do.
We'll say, okay, the dog it's got chronic ear infections. It's got, this happens.
No problem.
That's okay. We'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so we're like, great. Because we fight with nails. You got to think, at one time we had 40, say when we had 40 some dogs. I mean, you've got to cut at least one dog's nails a day to keep up.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
2 and 3, and some of them you'll forget, and you'll go, look, good Lord, look at those nails.
We have some nails like this.
Gail's like, look at those nails. We haven't touched this dog in so long, so we have to get that. And so then that's on the outside of everything else we got to do.
Was it Caesar and Samson that came with the nails that were that long? The ones that just went to adoption?
No, that was Jojo. Jojo, we got a dog. She's a larger terrier. I'd say she's 3/4 of a midsize, and she.
Their nails were about that.
I've still got the nails in my.
We still have them.
You kept them. Yeah.
I've never seen nails that long.
We had to keep
them.
They were just, they were 3 inches long after I cut them. the
Yeah.
pieces I cut off. So, you see that kind of stuff.
Well, thank you guys for being on the podcast today. All of our listeners, please make sure you follow them on Facebook and Instagram, Roland Rescue Gang. Check out their website at rolandrescuegang.com. So thank you both for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com, or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.